Welcome, friends, to episode 247 of Color Magic, your Magic Gaming podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 247 episodes, still got my main man gaming like crazy down there in Texas. Brian Sonic, how's it going, dude?
Yep, going well. Learning all kinds of crazy, grindy things. We ask for more ways to unlock stuff for free. Like, okay, yeah, the alternative. The alternative is, hey, your fingers fall off.
Yeah. I will say, I think I have neighbors decided they want to do some late yard work. So we may or may not hear some mowers going, but I'm going to make the most of it. We'll see if we can clear it up in editing. But yeah, don't forget, if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/colorofmagic and get a shout out just like John Kelly. So thank you, John, for being a patron. But man, we talked about this before, that Assassin's Creed was probably going to be the low light, if you will, of the year, because everything else was mostly solid. And the later part of the year obviously looked like it had a bunch of bangers coming after Assassin's Creed. And man, it has not been well received so far. We've had prices kind of...
Sometimes I hate it when we're right, and this is going to be one of those times, looks like.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, because you don't want anything to fail.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I play Assassin's Creed. I own probably... I'm going to guess 8 or 9 of them, because it's almost turned into Madden, where it comes out pretty much. I think at this point, yeah, it's pretty much annual. I can't remember the last year they didn't drop one.
Yeah, it has a fan base, but and the thing is, for a lot of these products that come out, even if I'm not fans of the game or I haven't played them or whatever, or I haven't interacted with that brand, I still want the players who enjoy it to get a cool thing and be happy with it. But apparently that is not necessarily the case with Assassin's Creed.
And nobody's going to get what Fallout got, where, hey, a hit TV show also drops at the same time your set comes out. It's unfair. Fallout isn't even going to drop a game this year, but they had, just a phenomenal TV show that I understand we're already getting a second season of. And yeah, it's unfair for everybody else.
But you know what, though? But we saw that with other things, right? With Warhammer, there was like a new edition, I think, with Lord of the Rings. They had that TV show, whatever it was, that was coming out around the same time.
Although in fairness, that probably didn't help. I think surveys
I'm just saying
that, I think something like 20% of the people that started Rings of Power finished it is bad.
Sure, but I'm just saying, but there was at least other things that also had big marketing pushes behind it.
Yeah.
That were still out there when the products were going live, kind of being top of mind. And we don't really have that. There's a game coming, but there ain't a lot out there for it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, because this is, people have been waiting for years for them to go to feudal Japan, because it seemed like they were just one of the most obvious settings where, hey, a game about assassins doing war during, let's say, essentially medieval times. Yeah, okay, this is a perfect fit. But even with that, there's been some controversy.
Yeah, but it's more people arguing about the history of what they're trying to depict in the game, more than people being excited that there's a game coming, even, which is sad. I'm just like,
yeah, and for anybody who hasn't, which from what it sounds like a lot of people haven't seen or heard about it, there apparently is I'm going to sound like Samuel L. Jackson, a black samurai in the game, and that's been a source of a fair amount of controversy, but he is apparently based on an actual character from Japanese lore. So even with that,
would you say it's an Afro samurai by chance?
That's basically, yeah. That's kind of where we were going with that. And obviously there's some debate about whether or not the character was a samurai. But again, Assassin's Creed has never proclaimed to be the most historically accurate thing. For example, I think a couple of years ago, they did the Norse mythology version and basically treated all Norse mythology as if it was real. So yeah, Assassin's Creed has never claimed it was a documentary.
Oh, not once. Not once. And they've openly taken liberties with the history of certain characters you run into, or having to rewrite something so it's a more intriguing story. Like that's fine. Like
They
everybody
even
kind of
did
knows
an
what's going
alternate
on.
history one year where George Washington went crazy and declared himself a king, and you had to fight King George Washington, and also, yeah, while they essentially aren't telling you that this character did all these things, they're just saying, hey, this is the alternate historical sandbox that Assassin's Creed plays in.
But when you do a deep dive, they seem to have at least based it on real people, real characters, real places. So it's not like they completely went out of left field.
Yeah.
There is actually basis for the character.
It's
And
kind
on
of like,
top
it's
of that,
almost like a King Arthur style character. Like, there, I'm sure will be a lot of debate about
oh yeah, yeah.
whether he existed, if he did any of the stuff they said he did, and will be, none of us were around.
But
Essentially, none of us know. And Assassin's Creed has
predominantly
never
though,
claimed it was a documentary.
I will say that it seemed like, at least from the discussions I was following, that the people that were into that time period, the history, or even people that seemed to be of Japanese descent, didn't seem to have as big of a problem with it as people that weren't, which was kind of like, okay, well, if the people who are into that or from there are mostly okay with it, then what are we making an argument about?
Well, as an actor, and I'm sure there are a lot of Japanese voice actors that would have loved to be in this
Oh,
game
sure.
that probably
Absolutely.
will obviously won't get to, because they're going to, I hope, have hired a black voice actor to play Yasuke. If I
And I'm
said that
with
correctly
you
in the
if
post.
that was the argument of why can it not have just have been a Japanese character
So
instead?
it's not the argument that a lot of people are making, but it is
Yeah.
an argument.
No,
because
that I would be fine with because that is a
let's be
reasonable
honest,
discussion.
they don't make a whole lot of games with Asian characters as the
Agreed.
protagonist. The next
Totally. And
Assassin's
that's what I'm
Creed
saying.
will.
That would be a fine argument if that's what people are, but they're arguing over this black character being a samurai or not. Like that's what the thing ends up being. And it's now I know some people are taking shots because it's a black character leading a game that hadn't predominantly had black characters be the leads and whatever, blah blah blah. Right. I get that. But yeah, I'm with you.
Well, a
If we
few
were
years
gonna
ago, they were in Egypt and nobody complained about it. Well, I mean, I'm sure a few people complained. I
sure.
didn't see very, because obviously, ancient Egypt, you would expect the characters to be darker complected.
Yep. So yeah, I think that would have been an okay argument because I'm with you. I assumed we're going to be in Japan. It would be something to do with one of the historical Japanese families or something, and just is what it is. So yeah, I don't know. But again, I haven't seen much promotion for the game. I saw more about the discussion and the stuff that came on Twitter more than the game itself, which is kind of crazy.
I think
But
if you follow the usual Ubisoft Assassin's Creed channels, I've seen the same thing. But yeah, I can't say that I've seen much on. And it's almost like, I mean, it comes out every year. It's like Madden. At this point, who doesn't know Assassin's Creed is dropping? That said, I think I've still seen more Madden commercials. But again, I
yeah,
follow Madden
exactly.
channels. So yeah, it'd be almost with the media I consume. It'd be virtually impossible for me not to see Madden promotion. I can't say I play Assassin's Creed as much, so maybe it's out
Yeah,
there and it's just other
I
people are
don't
seeing
know.
it.
I mean, but I'm not going to
Also, I
blame
don't
that.
think it, because when is it? Also, when is it dropping? I want to say October/November.
Maybe I thought it was sooner, but maybe
Yeah, I
I'm
think
wrong.
it's in October window. I'm double checking,
But if it
but
is,
I
that's
think
even
that's
worse
there.
because then you don't even get the push of the release with the product, right? Almost everything else, when we've pushed the crossover product, the other thing was within a month
Yeah,
or
it's going to
two.
come out November 24th. It usually drops around that time for the Christmas rush. So yeah.
Yeah, so see that's a bigger problem, like because you
And maybe
just
they
don't even
just
get the.
couldn't find anybody else that where they can make the project work this way.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it has
Because
other
obviously
issues too, though.
everything, even though it's universes beyond, for example, Madden's coming out in a couple weeks, but that's not going to work for this. At least I don't think. I say that every time I say that 10 years ago we'd have never thought there would be Assassin's Creed or Marvel,
Bruh, you know what?
Magic cards, but here
Give
we
me
are.
a 32 count secret layer where each team gets their logo on a card with something.
I
Like,
feel like we'd probably be in the minority on that. I'm
I'm
thinking.
buying it. Or artwork depicting each of the different team logos or something. Like that could
But
be kind of fun, you
yeah,
know?
at the rate we are going, who's to
Yeah,
say?
I'd be
They
into
do
it.
have, pirates in sports. They have obviously all sorts of Buccaneers. I can't
Exactly.
think. They're Vikings. I should stop before I give them ideas. I should
Exactly.
quit.
But I will say this: the product had other issues, right? When we're talking about Assassin's Creed, right? It was in the 7-card booster packs or whatever, which we already know people don't like those, right? And I'm gonna talk about something else that has some other packs like that soon. But the cards themselves weren't. I guess there was a lot of reprints for even a small set, so it wasn't like you were getting mostly new cards, right? So that was kind of another issue. Most of the cards aren't worth a lot, so they're not people chasing a lot of these down, and it doesn't really get a lot of time to live and be enjoyed because we're already talking about Bloomburrow, right? And that has a lot of excitement behind it. So there was just a lot going against this set, man. I just don't think it had a real chance out of the gate, unfortunately.
And
And
of
I
course,
think
you
that's what
already
we're going
have
to keep
people
seeing.
that intrinsically hate Universes Beyond, so they're not getting on board.
Sure.
So you need the people that are really, super fans of the property to get hyped for it. And if they're not even hype about Assassin's Creed, then you're going to have all kinds of problems.
I mean, I've even seen people opening up booster boxes with their discounted price and not being able to open enough product to hit their discounted price. So it's like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
tough. That's tough. Now, the good news is, if you want some, if you can hold out till, 2, 3 months, maybe just November, just before you get to the Christmas shopping season, you might be able to pick up some of these pretty cheap because retailers will want to move inventory to not have it sitting there at the end of the year. So you might be able to get yourself a little something if you want some Assassin's Creed on the cheap. Just saying, that's how business works. So keep your eye out for that. But yeah, little bit rough to see that go down like that. But that does lead me into our soapbox. And the thing here that's tough is there's kind of like, I would say, one clear, I don't want to say black eye, blemish, we'll call it that, on the whole push for Bloomburrow right now. Because most people are pretty excited about it. I don't think that's really an argument. Like, cosplayers are already gearing up, right? I mean, like we knew when we first saw it previewed, right? People are already curious about the different theme mechanics of the different creatures and whatever. Like, so views are up on YouTube stuff talking about Bloomburrow. So like, no surprise. The haters hating it just don't want their cutesy things in their magic or whatever. I don't want to buy anything with little cute mice on it. Like, okay, fine, don't, whatever. But for some reason, Wizards has decided they want to run a booster pack idea back that they had a while ago, and they haven't done it for a long time. But it basically was the precursor to these aftermath size boosters, these 7-card boosters. But they're calling it a value booster, is the term that's on it. And I'm not really sure why these exist, especially considering the fact that we know people don't like the aftermath boosters, right? Like, we've seen that people don't like it. These are basically going to have all the cards that are in the Bloomburrow set in this packaging, but a pack only comes with, I believe, 3 commons, 2 uncommons, 1 slot that could be any rarity, and then 1 of something else, right? So you're not even guaranteed a rare in a pack. Proportionately, you will probably, if you opened up the same number of cards as you opened in a booster box, you would get the same number of rares. But because you're opening a half-size booster, half of those or more are probably not going to have a rare in them, or mythic or whatever. Now, they'd said select retailers will carry these or whatever. My likelihood here, and my understanding, is this is likely going to be something that goes to probably like the dollar stores and stuff like that. So they have like a $1.99 booster or something on the shelf, $1.50 boosters they can sell people if they want to pick up some cheap magic. The problem I have with products like this, though, is that mom, grandma, whoever's shopping wants to pick up something for somebody in the family that they know plays magic, where they're going to pick up this pack not realizing that it's not at all a regular booster pack. They just see something like, oh, it's a couple dollars. Yeah, I'll snag 2 or 3 of them. We'll take them home and give them away. It just leads to a bad situation because nobody who knows wants to buy those. You know what I mean? Like,
But you
anybody
still, tell grandma thank you for your magic cards, though, if that
well, yeah,
happens.
you're still gonna thank her. You're just gonna be like, but next time, grandma. Like,
There's no point in telling grandma to give a kid a booster pack. Let me not speak for other people's grandmas. I know there would be no point in telling my grandma the difference between the two booster packs.
But that's the tough part, right? I mean, I get it. They're trying to expand their reach,
Does anybody in your well, since you brought up, does anybody in your family actually buy you Magic cards, or they just give you a gift card, be like, go get the thing you want?
They used to when I was younger,
Okay. Because
but
I'm to the point now where people just give me gift cards for the most part,
yeah,
unless
yeah.
it's,
Now that I'm on my
inside.
own, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I buy my own stuff or whatever. Unless I have something on a list of things I need, they just give me gift cards to whatever.
My wife knows enough to go buy, okay, this specific video game, but
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people are just like, hey, gift card.
But there's still a lot that get given as gifts to friends, stuff that are stocking stuffers. Again, parents buying them for, maybe the players that are, we'll say between 12 and 20, send us some stuff nice off to the college kid, whatever. I get it. Like it has a place, but man, it's just, I don't know. Like, I think coming off of the Aftermath booster, then having this happen with Assassin's Creed, and now we have a 7-card booster effectively that doesn't even guarantee you a rare, where the others at least did that. It's like, we're gonna run this back, huh? And the idea didn't go over great last time. The only thing I can think of is from a business perspective. If these other companies are coming to you, because they do go out and try to source stuff to have in their stores, if they approach Wizards of the Coast and be like, hey, we know you make trendy things, can you make a product for us to sell in our stores? I guess this is the best we can do. I mean, if they say, hey, can you make us something we can keep under $2 or whatever it is, I guess this is it. You know what I mean? I don't know what else I could think of off the top of my head they would even put in there. If you wanted to have Magic or D&D things, that would make sense. So, yeah, I guess. It's just
And
got to be
God,
what
I
it
was
is.
looking at some of those, the quote unquote gaming sections of some of the retail stores. Oh my God.
Oh, it's
I
all
feel
kinds
bad.
of weird packs and stuff over there.
And the pricing is completely, I mean, there are copies of Madden that are 4 years old still selling at full retail price because nobody over there knows any better.
Oh yeah, yeah. That whole section is weird. And Magic's not the first to do this. I mean, if you ever go look, you will see repacks like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever stuff there. Like, it's not unique to Magic. It's just gonna be weird if you see it. But only thing I would say is I would like to have seen the packaging be distinctly different, so people don't actually accidentally buy it thinking it's a play booster, but because it says on it value booster, but it looks like it could just be a regular booster if you don't know any better. That's the only thing I would want different. But other than that, it's just one of those products going to be out there. You probably won't see it at your local game store or anything like that. They don't have a reason to carry it. Probably not even going to be offered to them if I were guessing, just knowing how the system works. It's likely going to be for select discount retailers or people running show stuff or whatever, that type of thing. But anyway, I'm going to get off that. Let you have your time.
All right. I don't really like coming to you and talking about money, but I got to get over that because, hey, all the people that that want money from me have no problem asking me for it, like the electric company, the grocery stores, internet folks, uh, podcast recording people, all of these folks happily ask for what it takes to keep this show going. So we got to come to you with that. As I said, not the part that's enjoyable to talk about, dude. I guess kind of the whole, hey, if everybody within the sound of my voice could send us even $1, as they say
Oh, for
on
sure.
PBS and other such things, and hey, we could, quit doing this part of the show, but
Well, I don't know about that. Our listeners. Oh, this part of the show, yes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this part is what I'm saying. Like, because again, I don't enjoy doing it, but hey, all these things cost money. We got the same expenses you have. We're hopeful that our passion project here can at one day grow to the point where it's able to cover at least a few of those expenses because this is you said episode 247. It seems kind of like yesterday, and then I guess in other ways it seems like it's episode 247 because yeah, this is something that I enjoy talking about, but We got to talk about it. Got to give you the Patreon. For anybody, that can't afford to do anything financially, we get that. Yeah, I know a lot of people in our audience are in college, or heck, some of
Oh,
them
sure.
may still be may still be in high school, younger, what have you. For anybody that really can't afford to help us through the Patreon, we also have all manner of social media. I have a YouTube channel. We both have YouTube channels. So
Well, it's like I tell people, if you can't afford to be a patron, totally understand. But,
right.
when we post stuff up, share it with people. If you know
Yeah,
anybody who might be interested, put it out in front of them, share it in your Facebook groups, retweet
exactly.
it on Twitter, whatever. Just help us get a little bit of reach, and maybe we can find
Yeah,
a few more people.
YouTube is Brian Sonic, as I've mentioned. That's also my Twitter and Instagram. We will mention all those things again at the end, but I know not everybody, believe it or not everybody makes it all the way through this thing to the dinner table. So for those, that and we get that. Everybody's busy. There's So we're letting you know here at the beginning. And as I said, if you can't afford to do anything Patreon related, just a subscription costs you nothing but a couple of seconds of your time to just click a button and let YouTube know, hey, you're enjoying what Brian and Daquan are putting out there.
Yep, every little bit helps for sure.
And hey, if you can't click a button, I'm just going to start to think that you hate me. Comedians are already a little bit neurotic, so if you give me any feedback that indicates that you hate me, I'm going to start to assume that you hate me.
Well, I mean that you have to have that mentality to be a stand-up comedian, though.
Exactly.
It starts from a place of hate,
Yeah.
and then you turn it into a bit of funny. See,
When
that's
the
how it
joke
works.
happens to you, it wasn't funny. You had to write that. And I think what a Kevin Hart special is called, "Laugh at My Pain." That's literally what you're doing when you watch a stand-up comedian.
Very true. Very true. But all right, dude. Why don't we talk about some stuff that we learned this week? Because there's a couple of interesting things that I bet people don't know about. So why don't you hit them with something here?
All right, let me tell you about Multiverses, which, for lack of a better term, I guess is Smash Bros, but make it Warner Brothers. And this week, one of the newer characters, he's been teased for a while, is officially, if you do a whole bunch of grinding, you can technically unlock Agent Smith. I do have to say, for the young folks, Agent Smith is from The Matrix, because I saw another content creator talking about Agent Smith. So one of the younger kids like, "Oh, it's the guy from Men in Black." No, no,
I
I can
mean,
see how
to
you would
be
get that.
fair, you can see how we would think it's a dude from Men in Black.
Shades. He's called Agent. Yeah, I get it. And yeah, I know. We looked it up. Matrix was back in 1999. So
Yep,
yeah, I don't think
March
my kids.
1999. So if you're turning to dust right now, I understand.
If my kids haven't seen The Matrix. They know about bullet time because it is in almost every video game, many TV shows. So that's for anybody that doesn't know. That's where the whole bullets slow down and somebody dodges them thing comes. Well, I think it's necessarily where its origin, but that's the movie that really
Yeah.
popularized it. And after that, you saw it in everything. But yeah, he is, like I say, a whole lot of fun. And I would say that the mode, risk modes you're doing is again very grindy. But like we talked about, you have to make a decision with the free to play game. You're going to either give them money or you're going to give them some time. In this case, you literally can't even hand them money. I mean, you can buy gems, which help you unlock more things. I don't want to get into all the intricate details of their free to play system here, but yeah, you literally can't even hand them $10 to buy Agent Smith right now. You can hand them $10 and hope you can unlock something that makes it easier to get Agent Smith. But
Yeah, that's one of the things we've been seeing a little bit. Kind of what I've been calling the Marvel Snap model, where
yeah,
you can't really like there's a few things you can buy, but you can't really buy directly the things you want sometimes. Like there's some things where like if it comes through the carousel, you might be able to get it if you get lucky. But you can't just go like, "Oh, I need these things. I want to build this type of deck or whatever." You kind of have to do the grindy thing and give them some time and go through and, unlock stuff. And you're right. It's always a give and take, right? You're either giving them money or giving them time, and we tell people that all the time, right? Games are
I
going
think
to get
this
one or
system
the
is
other.
designed to where next time, if they just ask for $10, most people are probably going to do it because basically, to unlock it, you have to beat, I think, essentially 20 bosses. So you're doing
Ugh.
it's various. You got to you're basically beating the same people, but it's a different difficulty mode. So you got to like beat the guy then go back with a higher difficulty mode, which you
Why
unlock.
20? That's such a huge number. Like, couldn't have,
Because
like,
I
10
think
would
next
have been a
time
lot.
they're gonna. I think next time they're gonna say, "Hey, would you rather just give us $10?" Yeah, almost everybody is probably gonna say yes,
'Cause, dude,
including me, probably.
I've said it before, playing Marvel Snap, like, once I knew the grind, like, now I'll periodically play it if I'm just, like, waiting at the airport or something, but, like, I don't put in the time because I know the grind is so deep. But if I could just like, "Hey, here's $20, let me get caught up for this set," I probably would do it. Like, if they would just take my money, I would just gladly give them the money to get caught up, but they don't. So, I got limited engagement with the game. So, it's
Because
just
I
one
mean,
of
I
those
would
things.
love to, and my plan whenever I get him is to do some kind of video, but it's gonna take forever to unlock him.
Hell, by the time you get them, he might be old news. Like,
Also,
dang.
that
That's crazy. Yeah, okay, so the thing I discovered was kinda surprising me because I feel like I generally am in the know and I pay attention to stuff coming up, but I was cruising around the internet and I came across, and I wanna get the name right, but there was a game called Exodus. I think the whole title is Exodus: Become the Traveler, something like that, and it was being touted as this cool AAA sci-fi, whatever, and I'm like, "Cool, I wonder who makes this?" And I was surprised to see that Wizards of the Coast logo showed up on it, and I was like, "Huh, I wonder which of their studios worked on this." Turns out they have another company, I believe, called Archetype Entertainment that's under their, I don't know what you call it, in their portfolio, I guess, of companies that they have. So I did a deeper dive, and it turns out they have a lot of companies under Wizards of the Coast brands now. So technically, there are 9. You have the 3 that everybody kind of engages with. You have Magic, D&D, and Arena is labeled separately. And then you have the Archetype Entertainment, another company called Invoke, Skeleton Key, Atomic Arcade, another one called Find Your Fun, and then they have their like what they're just putting everything else under another digital studio. That was kind of news to me. I wasn't aware, but I started thinking about all these different hiring things they've had and stuff you've been hearing about different things they're working on, and it's like now this kind of makes a little more sense because they're probably hiring to fill some stuff for some of these other positions or companies. They're probably doing, when they're bringing in ideas, they're probably not all being done in house by Magic people or D&D people. They're probably going, oh no, we need this for Invoke or Skeleton Key or whatever. So kind of a neat idea, but this kind of, like I said, explains a few things. I'm sure some of these companies are probably helping with stuff for Magic, D&D, whatever as well, right? It's probably why they got into business with them in the first place. But just kind of cool. I still need to deep dive on them and find out like what each of these companies do or what their specialties are or any of that. But it's just kind of surprising. I don't know if people really knew that Wizards had a bunch of companies under them. I just one of those things. They have a whole family of studios now. I don't know if you knew about that, but that was definitely something I didn't know.
feels like every week I find out something that was part of the Hasbro empire that I didn't know was part of the Hasbro empire.
Yeah, that's kind of capitalism of the US at this point. Every big company owns like 20 other companies, it seems like.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, it's worse if you're in
Paramount
the
just
food
merged with
space.
somebody, or I guess it's in the process of merging with somebody. It's just every day.
Which one?
Paramount, I think, is merging with
Mm,
Skydance, I believe it's called. That's the big entertainment merger that's hot right now, and
gotcha. I
most
actually
actors seem to be in favor of it. So I guess I'm okay with it.
that does bring up something else I want to talk about briefly. I don't know if you heard, but Viacom, because they also owned a lot of things. They apparently, I think, got bought by Paramount, if I'm not mistaken, and they just decided they were going to jettison a bunch of stuff. Apparently, just things under their old library of stuff that they're maybe because they're trying to set up for a merger or something. They're
Yeah,
trying to cut some fat or whatever.
that's common.
But on the list of things that they're wanting to get rid of, apparently, is all of like the whole like MTV generation worth of stuff just gone. Some of that Comedy Central early stuff with people doing the stand-ups or whatever, just gone. And my thought was like, you at least send that stuff to like the National Archives or something? Like, because that's like a
Some
culturally
of it,
significant
yes.
thing.
Like obviously, like the video killed the radio star should go in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Most of MTV's content recently is like 5,000 episodes of ridiculousness.
No. But a lot of the
That
early
forever.
stuff, but like you could say the first, we'll call it 15, 20 years, where you have like deaths of big celebrities that got covered that were big news and stuff like that. Like that feels like important stuff we should be holding on to.
Yeah, but at this point, I think because as you said, that's the first 15 years. We're to the point now where the garbage. Well, I started to say, let people enjoy things, but yeah, let's just say the reality TV stuff
No,
far
that's
in their
fine. But
catalog
just to say,
outweighs
like,
all the
we got
other
to throw
stuff.
the baby out with the bathwater on that one is just like, whoa, hold up. You know what I mean? Like,
You know how corporate America works as well as I do.
oh, I know, but and again, even with Comedy Central, there was a lot of early celebrities got started that way or whatever, and like that stuff's just going to be lost because the
I
other
think it's going
problem
to be lost. Somebody will buy it, but
you
they're
would
not going
hope
to give it
so
to anybody.
that well the story was that they're thinking about just getting rid of it, just deleting it, and I'm just like that's crazy. You got to find somebody who wants to buy it because like the problem we
But if
have
they can't,
also.
or if they can't find some, we're in an era where companies, Warner Brothers, finish entire movies and then delete them because they don't think they're going to turn a profit on them.
Yeah, that's also true. It's
So
it's
that's
just crazy
unfortunately that's the
though
era we're in.
to just think about that, like literally chunks of culture
Yeah,
of the country just
it's not what you or
going
I
away.
would do with it, but we can't afford to buy it.
Yeah,
So
and the other problem is people couldn't copy it and share it because we have a bunch of laws around it. So it's not even like anybody else could do anything with it until they're willing to give up ownership of it or whatever, you know. So yeah, but anyway, kind of a bit of a sidetrack, but I came across that like a week or two ago, and I was just like baffled by that, knowing how much history is lost on MTV, which is crazy. Oh man, but all right, let's get into a topic here that I think is going to bother some people. And yeah, we've there's a lot of angles here in this story. And it kind of touches on a lot of different things. So like it's not I was gonna start down a path, but it's not even one story really, is
yeah,
kind of the problem here.
there's a lot.
Yeah. So the issue here is there is a content creator that goes by the name of Sketch, who directly was just outed for some past life stuff he had done on OnlyFans. And the crazy part is to me that the dude that outed him tried to downplay it like it wasn't really an issue.
Which is insane. We're to the point. Everybody knows that being outed is a huge deal culturally. That's the reason so
Yeah.
many people make the decision to stay in the closet because the decision to come out is, especially if you're somebody that's a celebrity. They're all, for example, this is Sketch is a Madden streamer. I probably don't need to tell you that the Madden NFL community skews overwhelmingly straight male,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a not small amount of homophobia in said community, as you will get from virtually any community where the majority of the people who consume the content are straight male. People just thankfully in the minority. The majority of people have actually been very helpful, been respectful, been everything you would envision when something like this happens to you. But then the same people you would expect have been idiots.
No, and I also want to put out there like, for because we haven't didn't really mention it, but there was some gay sex happening on the video or the channel, the OnlyFans that was outed. But the creator, the is another creator, YouTuber that goes by the name of Pocketbook. He made a 17-minute video about it. So it wasn't even like he just went like, "Hey, I don't know if y'all know that Sketch was doing this stuff on OnlyFans." Like the dude made like a documentary style video
Yeah,
about
this
it.
is obviously done for some benefit, I guess, the pocketbook feel like, well, obviously, I'm sure that probably the first thing was like, hey, bunch of YouTube traffic. I'm sure that for all I know, that was his only motivation. And again, that's enough because it's become a huge story. It's been covered by CNN and pretty much every site that covers news, and in most cases wouldn't cover anything gaming related. But this has become huge news again because I don't know what the number is of content creators who are out, just in the open. And I certainly know that the number among Madden creators is, I'm sure, extremely low.
Well, let me tell you this. I just went and looked up Pocketbook's channel. He averages, according to the stats and Social Blade, somewhere around a few thousand views a video, like about 1 to 2,000. That video that he put up was almost 600,000 views in 3 days.
So yeah, there's obvious motivation.
That's exactly why he did it. Like no question that that's why he did it. Now, again, like you said, awesome that everybody's been mostly positive. I mean, the typical knuckleheads have stuff to say, whatever. But he even came out and, Sketch, we're talking about here, actually came out. He kind of made some jokes about it, told people, like, hey, not only did I do that, I was going through some stuff in my life. I was also dealing with addiction. Family helped me out with these things. There's a whole thing that he had to address because of it, which
And said literally he is alive today because people really told him that they understand and that they appreciate him, and that he doesn't really have to be ashamed of this. There are plenty of, and that's also one of the, as we talked about, this goes into so many different areas, and really we got to stop shaming people for doing OnlyFans content in a time when it's hard to find any kind of job out there, and also to get paid what you should get paid for said job. It's just, but
I don't.
again, as I talked about,
Yeah,
we all still got to eat.
I don't care at all if somebody's doing it. The thing that's really rough that I feel bad for Sketch about is he now had to go back and address and talk about a lot of very personal things because a lot of stuff came up in that video. Right? Like we said, talking about his addiction, talking about some family issues, talking about the whole OnlyFans stuff in general, his sexual preferences or whatever. Like things that don't have anything to do with his daily life, his job, him being a creator, being a Madden player. But he now has to talk about all of these things
I
because
mean,
it's been
somebody's
brought front and
become
center and became a
essentially
story.
a viral sensation. They're actual, like pro athletes know who this guy is and out there doing his catchphrases and his touchdown. He was really living the dream as far as content creation.
Yeah, so it's tough. That's the part that bothers me even more. Other than even just being outed, is like it wasn't just like, oh, I have to tell people I was on OnlyFans. It's like, okay, well now you got to talk about all these issues around it. And I'm sure a lot of those are hard to talk about. When you got to talk about addiction, possible suicidal tendencies, all this, it's just like that's a lot to have to bring back up, especially if you've already worked through it all and now you got to go
Exactly.
back and deal with the dark period
Incredibly
again.
successful. You've become, I mean, I started to call him one of the biggest Madden creators. He's one of the biggest creators on Twitch in any genre. That's why this is being covered all throughout the mainstream media.
So yeah, it's a tough one, man. I hope Pocketbook has whatever backlash happen to him that's going to happen to him. I'm not going to wish awful things on people, but dude, there's got to be some consequences if you're going to be effectively trying to wreck somebody's life. Yeah.
But
Fortunately,
will
it
there
didn't.
be, when has YouTube ever
Well, no,
made
YouTube
you
can't
pay?
like unless something he said is not true, which so far as it turns out,
Yeah,
it sounds like
Sketch
none
has
of it is
confirmed
it's all
pretty much
truthful.
everything. Yeah.
They can't I mean, because at that point you just made a truthful documentary video about somebody. Like they can't do anything. I'm more thinking just from the public, if he's involved in anything or any groups or whatever. But we'll see.
Which public is this?
Now that being said, it sounds like there might be a little more support for Sketch. So he might have done him a favor. Put him in front of some more people. The LGBTQ community came out for him. So it's just like you might have built up his brand. This might have backfired. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? So, like, maybe it's a win
I
for
wouldn't
Sketch
say
in the end.
backfire because, as you said, he wanted social media reach, and now can he sustain it?
Well,
Unless somebody else, probably not.
yeah, I mean, unless he finds somebody else he can make another documentary about. I mean, I don't think his channel's going to take off. But yeah, it's a tough situation, man. You don't want to see it happen to anybody. We all have personal stuff that, again, even in his case, wasn't really doing anything wrong, just nothing he wanted to talk about publicly. And I'm sure we all have something like that. So just like, I'm glad it doesn't look, at least right now, like it's going to hammer him in any way and really kind of mess up everything he had going. That's the good news.
Yeah, as one of it's being quoted everywhere. I believe it's the president of FaZe clan that said, Sketch was my was my homie yesterday. He's still my homie today, and that's been pretty much kind of the prevailing opinion and kind of the prevailing feeling of everything. And again, that really is the right way to look at it. If you love Sketch, if you loved his content before Monday when this broke, and clearly millions of people did. And again, he is I think I want to say 2.1 million on TikTok and well over a million on Twitch. So clearly millions, but actual millions of people love his content. The people that he loses were knuckleheads, didn't need him.
Though, to be honest, maybe that's a good thing too. It put this out when you're saying with people in FaZe Clan even coming out. They have a big following. So if they're coming out supporting them, maybe that's a signal to some of their followers and fans or whatever to be like, hey, y'all need to be cool. You know what I mean? Like there ain't no reason to be getting upset over this. So it's kind of neat to see that through the game because we know as I do. There can be some crazy stuff in the gaming community at times still. So
I've
it's
seen
cool to
several
see people
pro
back them up.
athletes that are fans weigh in also kind of with the same sentiment like, hey, yeah, I loved him yesterday. I love him today. This isn't a big deal.
Yeah. So credit to all those people, at least keeping it real.
And also credit to him for being able, to do Madden content that has become viral in the actual NFL where people are doing his catchphrases and celebrating. That's, it's mind
Yeah.
blowing. It's a meteoric rise.
That's very true as well. I think when you kind of
Imagine
go,
being a Twitch streamer and, football players know who you are. It's mind boggling.
yeah, that's the thing. When you go beyond just being for the players, the video game players, and the thing you're doing actually catches on with actual athletes is kind of cool because you've now kind of transcended into a whole other community. And we've seen that even with some wrestling content. They did a recent documentary with it was like about the WrestleMania 41 stuff or whatever, WrestleMania 40, and they had clips from different creators that make wrestling content in there, and people were losing their mind. It was like, man, these companies, these people, these athletes, they pay attention to this stuff. But all right, I do want to give everybody a reminder here that Arena Championship 6 is around the corner. Like when you're listening to this, it'll be starting in 2 days. So you may want to go check that out. It looks like I'm going to make sure I give the correct dates because I almost list the wrong one. But Saturday and Sunday. So you're looking at July 13 and 14. It will be the Modern Horizons 3 draft. So you will have that for the first 3 rounds. And then the other 6 of the tournament will be historic constructed. And yours truly will be doing some commentary on it. So if you want to come laugh at me or cheer me on or whatever, come hang out for a bit. We'd appreciate it. But then that brings us to the dinner table. And this is a conversation that I think societally we need to be having more often here. But one of the things that's come up again, and I see it a couple times a year, is the elimination of third spaces. And for people that know what that term is, it's basically like it's considered you have school, you have home, and it's like where do kids hang out when it's not one of those spaces, right? Because for a lot of people, it was arcades, roller rinks, the mall, whatever, right? That's where we went. But a lot of those either don't exist or they don't want kids hanging around loitering anymore. So it's like, where do kids go now? And that got me thinking, like, Brian, where did you go when you weren't at home or at school, when you're just looking to hang out or go entertain yourself or play games or whatever?
It was the local comic shop, which was right across the street from, I guess it was technically my fourth place, because by that point, I guess during that time, I transitioned from just, being home, school, and also started in the workforce, and the comic shop was still open. So it was Papa John's Pizza back in the day, and it was right across the street. So I would go over there, and I'm not sure I turned a profit between the pizza and the comic books, but yeah, that's where I would go. You usually would go there before going home a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true. You would always you could often stop there on the way to something else for most people. I'm trying to think what I would classify as my actual third space, because I do think these days, sadly, a lot of the third space is becoming like the after school thing for a lot of kids. Like there's a lot of different programs that schools are starting up to try to alleviate that. But for me, I think it was either the Pizza Hut, because it was like they had an arcade. The old Pizza Huts, for those you don't know, used to go in. They used to have arcades attached to the Pizza Hut, so there'd be, probably not a
It
huge
really
one.
meant for it to be a sit-down restaurant. We're dating ourselves, but yeah, people
Yeah,
today have probably never seen a Pizza Hut.
probably never walked inside of a Pizza Hut. They probably
Also
toured them.
that.
But yeah, Pizza Hut, depending on where you lived, would have anywhere between, I would say, like 8 and maybe up to like 12 machines in there. I don't think I really saw one with more than that. But yeah, and it usually be the latest games or whatever. So you'd go in and
And you get a personal pan pizza if you had good grades, man.
yeah. Oh, dude, you read them books and you get the little thing and
Yep.
take, oh, yeah, yeah. So it was probably that, or also for me, one of the local comics shops, because we had a couple and they slowly had picked up like D&D books, magic cards, or whatever over time. And we started spending more time hanging out there. But yeah, several of us hung out, at the Pizza Hut. That was our spot. And as long as we weren't messing with nothing, we came in and played the video games. We'd grab a couple of drinks, maybe a couple of pizzas, and we just chill out. They didn't come mess with us. As long as you were at the table, you weren't making a mess, weren't making a fuss. We got to know all the people. They were super friendly,
Yeah,
and they were happy to have us there.
exactly.
So it's really different how this perspective have changed for people, because I've literally seen people try to actively chase kids off that were just walking through. I mean, they're not even doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what are they hurting? As long as they're not
Hell,
stealing
this day and age,
anything.
we're seeing those kids get shot in
It's
addition to
also
chased
true.
off.
But yeah, it's tough because I know even locally there was still a roller skate place that they closed up recently, and now even the community is coming together trying to figure out like, well, can we help them reopen somewhere else? Because the reason they got shut down is the person who owned the property wanted to sell it to somebody else to develop it into something else. So it's not even.
That's what happens to so many of these. Like
Yeah,
the,
so
the
it wasn't
comic
even.
shop that I used to hang out at, I think, is a Subway now.
The worst part was, though, it wasn't like they couldn't pay for it. They even offered to pay more. And they were just like, well, no, we want to sell the land to these developers
Yeah,
and
we just
whatever.
don't want you and your we don't want you and your comic book nerds around here. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, so they're trying to find a space for it here, which it sounds like they might have a spot. They just got to work out all the details on it. But it does make me sad, though, because I feel like there were a lot of places when we were younger that, as long as you weren't causing trouble, people kind of went, the kids are there, it's fine, and didn't really bat an eye at it. Now, I mean, I've seen people literally, if you're loitering for like 5 minutes waiting on somebody to meet there, they're like, what are you
Yeah.
doing here? Like, why are you not buying something? Why are you just like, dude, they're hanging out outside. They ain't even doing nothing. Bruh, why are we mad? So it's tough. But yeah, it's a good question because, like I said, it got me thinking about, man, where did I hang out? What was I doing? And our town was small, so most people at least knew somebody, because it wasn't that big, and people just kind of were cool with it. But anyway, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Hit us up on socials. Let us know where your third place was, or if your kids have lost third places recently, because that's
Also
definitely
that,
becoming a thing.
man.
But all right, Brian, whichever they can find you on the social media machines.
I am Brian Sonic on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
And you can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And like I said, this weekend, I'll be doing some commentary if you want to come participate. But as always, wherever you are watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.